If you're a politician, you basically operate under the guise of, I know you are, but what am I? Doesn't matter what people did in the past. Doesn't matter what you said in the past. It matters what you do now. That's it. You change the rules. And when people ask you about what you said or did on video or what you wrote on social and what you've said you would do in the past, what you promised to do, doesn't matter. It all goes out the window. Kevin McCarthy's going to waste more taxpayer money with an impeachment inquiry, an investigation into whether or not Biden should be impeached. Pat Brady's here. You've spoken for years, including the Trump impeachments, about impeachment being a political action. Nothing changes here, right?
No, and it's never, with the exception of Nixon, been a good action. I mean, there's been 4 of them. Johnson, Nixon, Clinton, and, 5 now. Trump and now Biden.
This.
So now, there's only, but
this isn't an impeachment. This is the inquiry.
But it never works politically. When Clinton they voted the articles of impeachment out of the House. Went over to the Senate, he was acquitted. He had a 58% approval rating. Almost 6 in 10 supported him. So it never works politically. So unfortunately, the Republicans and McCarthy are held hostage by 2 of the least respected members of that caucus, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, and they're driving the train. It's just bad politics. The good news is I think this is going to be a big who cares because I don't think the national media is even going to cover it.
How much does this have to do with taking attention off of Donald Trump's criminal problems and the debt ceiling debate?
Oh, that's all it is. Well, yes and no. It's all about those 2 that I mentioned before raising money. And the far right, the MAGA folks, will raise money off this. And it is a distraction, probably less from the debt ceiling than it is from Trump's legal problems. But it's certainly a distraction. But the point is, there's no chance it goes anywhere. It may not even get out of the House, and they're certainly not going to convict him in the Senate. So, again, they can have fun doing it, but I just remember
it's a colossal waste of time and money.
But in the 90s, when the Republicans did this against Bill Clinton, Osama bin Laden was building up his network and planning his attack on the United States. So they take their eye off the ball of things that matters. And if you read in the news lately, things aren't going great with us in China and some of the other countries that don't like us.
Well, and it's not just international stuff. It's like, how refreshing would it be if leadership of either party stood up and said, you're paying too much for groceries, and we're going to do something about it. Your taxes are out of line. We're going to do something about it. But we're going to be reasonable. We're going to figure out a way to pay our bills, and we're going to do something about it. Nobody's talking about issues. All these people are talking about is raising money and getting reelected.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Sorry, my mic wasn't on. And this has been talked about for a long time. Everyone's always talking about he should be impeached. All this, he's benefiting from his
Not
son's
everybody's
things.
talking about it.
Okay, but my question is, to your point, Steve, we should be talking about the issues. We should be talking about why grocery prices are too high. We should be telling us something that we can help the American people. Was McCarthy pressured into doing this?
Oh, yeah.
Give us the backstory.
Yeah, well, and this is Trump's fault. We should have had Republicans a 30, 35 seat majority in the House, and these 2 goofs would not be relevant. But Trump got involved in partially the abortion decision, and Republicans only have a 4 or 5 seat majority now. They're probably going to lose it next time around, given some of the redistricting legal rulings that are going on. Point is, they have outsized control over McCarthy because they always threaten to they changed the rules to allow them to bring removal votes for the speaker easier. So this is what they do. They're just hostage taking with McCarthy, and he's got no choice but to play along. But the reality is, it doesn't help Republicans at all. It helps those 2.
So when Florida's Matt Gaetz isn't dating teenagers with or against their will, what is his thing? He just wants to replace Kevin McCarthy? Does he think he's going to be speaker? What is his move?
All the above, probably. But I think there are certain people that don't care about anything but bomb throwing, and that's how they raise money, and that's how they stay in power. That's all they do. They never really do anything effectively. But they're popular in their districts. They're very conservative districts, and they stay there, and they make noise. And, unfortunately, they now, for the last 30 or 40 years or so, 35 years, have had a voice on the cable news networks that put them on, and that's what it's all about. It's a big game.
The committee headed by Representative Comer has not found anything criminal that they can move forward with on Biden. So if you have nothing you can move forward with on a criminal basis, impeachment is about high crimes and misdemeanors and bribery. So if you're going forward and saying there was bribery involved and Biden financially benefited from illicit activities, then you got to be able to prove it. You got to be able to step up improvement. Now, this Comer investigation's been going on for a while. They appear to have nothing. How long are core Republicans going to put up with it?
I don't know. It's been going on for 9 months, and you're exactly right. They have to. Listen, Hunter Biden's got issues. Hunter Biden probably needs to spend some time in the penitentiary.
100%.
And the country needs to revisit how family members of high-level elected officials make money. This goes back to 1976. Remember Billy Beer?
Sure.
Billy Carter.
Sure.
It's happening forever. And the most recent example is the Ivanka and what's his face? Jared walking out with $2 billion with a B from the Saudis. So there's a lot of bad conduct here. But the reality is this investigation has been going on for 7 years. There's a Republican appointed, a Trump appointee U.S. attorney that's investigated this and found basically nothing. And there's been absolutely no evidence that Joe Biden was involved. Love or hate Joe Biden, they got nothing on him. So it's just a big waste of time. But to me, more important as a Republican, it's bad politics. It just never works for us. It gets your base all jacked up, but doesn't win us any other votes, which we desperately need.
So you're looking at a Speaker of the House who literally is trying to save his job by putting the country through another level of wasting millions of tax dollars and taking the eye off the ball, as you put it, on the stuff that really matters. This is all about Kevin McCarthy saving his job and Matt Gaetz throwing a tantrum.
Well, I don't know what the backstory is. It may be more about caucus management, and he may have the support of other caucus members. Kevin McCarthy, love or hate him, has actually been a fairly effective speaker for the Republicans. None of us likes this stuff, but this is the reality that he has to deal with, and it's squarely on the shoulders of Donald Trump, who is electorally the biggest loser I've ever seen, and this is where he puts the Republicans in this trick bag. We should have had the Senate for the last 4 years, but for Trump going down to Georgia and interfering in that election. So, yeah, it's a bad spot for him, but I'm not as down on him as I am just on the party in general for not recognizing they need to move on.
Is the good ship hypocrisy sailed? Are we ever going to get to a point where you can actually trust in what anything falls out of the mouth of a politician? I mean, Kevin McCarthy's a guy who stood up when Pelosi kicked off an impeachment inquiry at Trump without a vote and said, we cannot do this. We cannot do this. There must be a full vote of the House. It's now his House. He said he's not a hypocrite because she changed the precedent. This is like Mitch McConnell's line about not taking a vote on Merrick Garland. It's like, well, the rules don't apply to me now because I changed the rules because you didn't play fair before. It's like, what are you all, 5?
Yeah, think about if this plays out and they do get articles out of the House and it goes over to the Senate, it will be within a year of a presidential election. What's not for the Democrats not to make the argument? You wouldn't even appoint a Supreme Court justice within 9 months. How can you impeach a president? So you're taking away the will of the voters.
I mean, you literally, in the United States of America, at a point now where whether you're a Democrat or Republican, go, well, no, if I don't get my way, it doesn't count.
Well, the bad news is, too, there's always been hypocrisy in politics. That may be the definition.
Never been worse than this.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But the broader point to me is that what Trump has done has taken this, and he's taken it to every other institution. This is what authoritarians do. This is how they get control. He's taken it and moved it over to other institutions, the media, the judiciary, the other branches of government, and says that everybody's corrupt and everybody's a hypocrite, which is not true, but that's Trump's whole shtick. So there's a great quote I read the other day that Ulysses S. Grant said right during the Civil War when he was called to serve, probably the most significant American other than Abraham Lincoln, who said, you're either a patriot or you're a traitor. And right now what we're seeing from Trump, I think, is treasonous. It's traitorous, the things he's saying and doing. The speech he gave over the weekend about if I'm president, I'm going to order my attorney general to investigate people no matter what.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Well, it's dictator.
It's dictator. I mean, people, and the deal is whether you love or hate Trump, Republicans have to move on from this because that stuff I watch and I go, I mean, that's straight out of the Mussolini playbook.
Well, and you're going to lose. You're going to lose.
Well, you know what, though? I mean, he could win the primary. And, if that's the case, then Republicans will lose 7 seats in the Illinois House. We'll get creamed if he's at the top of the ticket. So,
you lose Congress, you lose both houses. It's ridiculous. And you got people like Nikki Haley and other legitimate candidates who could actually do the job and win the election, which I thought was the point. More with Pat Brady in a second. First, maybe this up. Let's all la 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 la. Nah, it didn't help. I was wrong. Pat Brady's here. You just scroll through the top news of the day on legitimate news sites, and you'll see things like Kim Jong-un is palling around with Vladimir Putin. Seems like that's something that Congress should be concerned about. And yet the number one story we're talking about is Joe Biden's old. Donald Trump is possibly going to jail, and, people are picking on him. And now this impeachment thing. Here's another wide miss by the Republican leadership. Can you imagine if, say, 6 months ago, instead of mocking Joe Biden for being old, you would have said, look, nobody likes talking about this. You're a Republican leader. Nobody likes talking about this, but there's a legitimate concern about the president's health. And we believe that he should subject himself to a second level of tests in regards to his ability to do the job. His mental alertness, his ability to do the job, his cognitive test, because this is not a HIPAA violation. This is the guy that's the president of the United States. And he would then put the president on the spot to say, you know what, as president of the United States, if that's what the American public needs from me, I'm going to do it. And bring it up as a reasonable adult. Not doing shtick. You know, you want to do shtick, get a late night talk show and do a monologue. Not doing shtick and pretending it's news.
Well, Nikki Haley actually did bring that up 4 or 5 months ago, that there should be, and she still says that, a competency test for anybody over 75.
Yeah.
And it was not well received, but now it looks almost like she was way ahead of the curve. But yeah, but that's just not the way it works now. But it's not about good public policy. It's about raising money, and that's all they care about.
Yeah, it's funny because you and I have talked about this for years as well, Pat. This used to be the stuff that politicians would do behind closed doors.
Right.
Now they're doing it on TV. They're doing it online. They're doing it on social media.
Well, you couldn't get on TV
changed
before to do this.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Yeah, but still the standards change, right? I mean, you used to have the decency to be the self-centered weasel behind closed doors and then come out and tell the American public we're trying to do something for you and be in a position where you actually had to actually try.
Yeah, I mean, McCain and Teddy Kennedy were ideologically completely apart, but they were best friends. But that's completely changed. If you're going to get cable news and raise money off it by saying idiotic things, then you're going to do it. And that's where we are right now. But people got to realize anything on the news after 7 is not news. It's opinion, and half of it's a lie. But, you know, you got a president we had for 4 years that I think they said 35,100 lies.
Yeah.
I read that Rick Riley book again about him playing golf.
Right.
Read it over the weekend. And when confronted on cheating, he said, I cheat on my wife. I cheat on my taxes. Why wouldn't I cheat on my own golf course?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's funny when I read it, but it's not funny.
No,
Right,
because this is
the truth in that.
It's the truth, and this is the guy that the Republicans think should be running the world, and it's just a mistake, especially when we've got better candidates.
There are concerns that people have every day. You, as a lifetime Republican and somebody that's still in the business, you talk to Republicans every day. What are people saying that they wouldn't go on the record and say?
Donors cannot stand Trump. They don't want him there. They want him out. I've talked to some people last week that are actually in the field now working on their campaigns, going door to door and talking to people. And Trump's support is very, very thin. People are looking for something else. And you saw some evidence over the weekend of that. There's a recent poll that had Trump taking a pretty big dive in Iowa. He's still got a pretty good lead, but he's also coming back in New Jersey and some of these other states. So I think his support's very thin. And we've learned this lesson here in Chicago. There's a big difference between a charge being indicted and being actually convicted in the public perception world. So Trump could be convicted of a pretty serious series of crimes by April. We'll see where he is.
He's really good at dealing with courts because he has been sued or been involved in lawsuits literally thousands of times. Look it up, kids. Thousands of lawsuits involving Trump businesses and Trump himself, including his years as president. So he knows his way in and around courtrooms, how to stall court proceedings, how to bend the rules and break the rules, how to fire attorneys and keep hiring attorneys. This stuff will not be solved by Election Day, right? We're going to be dealing with this throughout 24, aren't we?
Well, the first one could be, and criminal court is different than civil court. Trump, and I agree with you, he's in this position that we're playing on his court when we're in court because that's all he does. And there's an old saying, anything but the merits in civil law, just delay, delay, delay. Criminal court's different. And this judge just said this thing's going to trial in January. And she laid out the parameters to make that happen, and it's going to happen. So he's in a little different world in criminal court than he has been in the thousands of civil lawsuits, including bankruptcy court, that he's been involved in over the decades.
Trump could actually have a whole new TV show if he let the court cases be televised.
Well, the one in Georgia might be, which I think is a horrible idea. We saw what happened with O.J.
Well, you're an attorney. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's federal court, they don't allow it, but state court, they can. And the O.J. Simpson case was a great example of the attorneys and the judge playing to the television audience, and it was a huge television audience. I think we got a bad result there. Bad prosecution, too, but a bad result. So I don't think TV should be in the courtroom because it distracts from the mission. They should be very open and public, but television adds a dimension to it that I don't think is productive. Now, I don't think many people agree with me on that, but TV shouldn't be in the courtroom.
Yeah, but, maybe the greatest thing Leno ever did was the dancing Itos.
Yeah, but I was living out there then. I actually watched some of that trial, and that Ito was a joke. The whole thing.
They all played to camera.
They all played to camera. The prosecutors played to camera. It was horrible. I mean, there's a history of L.A. back then. There's probably no chance they're going to convict O.J. in that court downtown. They might have out in Brentwood, but that's just a great example of, do you really want 24/7 Trump TV talking about, because trials, the reality are, and I did a ton of them, are actually kind of boring.
Yeah.
It's especially, there's not much going on. You talk, you ask a question. Half the time, my job is to keep the jury awake. So you have to fill that vacuum with some kind of hyperbole, right? Oh, look at that. Look at Marsha Clark's hair. All this nonsense and look at Judge Ito and all the nonsense.
Well, if you went back and you were able to watch some of the OJ coverage, that's what a lot of it was. It was stalling throughout the day to wait for something to happen of significance. Yeah. And Pat, we got to go, but to give you credit, you were one of the first attorneys to put whoopee cushions in the jury box just to keep them awake. So I thought that was good.
I will say, and I tried cases all over the country. Every courtroom I went in, I stuck a piece of chewing gum underneath the table just to leave my mark. So they're all over the country.
God
a couple of LA, San Diego.
Look at you.
Yeah, you know me.
I mean, you're a trendsetter.
Very mature when I was in my 30s.
You're a trendsetter. You changed the game. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks.